We're doing it. Welcome back. We left off on chapter 15 with a pretty big drop of information. I'm not going to make you wait any longer. Let's read chapter 16. Oh boy. Chapter 16, Laceration. No one said a word. Shelly tried to understand why her mom had left her date, working to recall exactly what type of text she had sent. No encouraging sentences came to mind. Out of every scenario, Shelly could not recall any that included her telling their mom to join them at dinner. Yet, there she sat. Maybe she had decided she wanted to spend time with her daughters after all. Their mom continued to laugh at the nonsensical jokes she made, saying plain sentences with a naive, light-hearted air. "You girls really liked this edamame." "Yep," Savannah said. "We'll have to get more when the waitress gets back. We'll need enough to share." Deborah rolled her lips in, as if she had given away a secret, but her eyes glinted like she had said exactly what she wanted to. "Okay," Savannah replied. "Is that my dress?" Deborah said, eyeing the black velvet on Shelly. Adjusting the collar and pulling the hem down, Shelly did her best to remove the wrinkles created by sitting. "It is. I'm sorry. I should have asked." Squinting her eyes, Deborah said, "It looks beautiful on you. And yes, please ask next time." Shelly nodded. "Hey, Mom," Savannah said. "What happened to your date? We thought you were supposed to be eating dinner with him." "That fell through. That's why I texted you that I was coming here," she explained as if her daughters were 10 and struggling to understand the way adults work. Savannah gave a stifled response. "We didn't get that text." "Well, I sent it to Shelly." Deborah leaned away. "And I don't need to be spoken with that way." "What?" "But let's move on." While Deborah talked, Shelly pulled out her phone to check her messages. "I'm glad to be here," Deborah said, "and I'm sorry that you didn't see my text, but I wanted to spend some time with you girls. It's not like you come to see me often." By the time her mom finished her sentence, Shelly had found her mom's text and the reason why she hadn't received it. "I'm sorry, Mom. My phone turns on Do Not Disturb at 9. It silences notifications until the morning." A soft thud sounded as Deborah's hands dropped to the table. Her head tilted forward. "You don't get notifications from anyone? Isn't that a little dangerous?" "I have it set so I can get notifications from John," Shelly said. "From your husband and not your mother? Good to know that if I had an emergency, I couldn't reach you." If her mother wanted to reach anyone in an emergency, Shelly didn't know why it'd be her. Even after contacting the paramedics or arriving at a hospital, texting Shelly wouldn't fix Deborah's situation, not when Shelly was usually in Utah. "You can reach me, Mom," Savannah said, her voice like wind whipping curtains against the wall. "Thanks, Savannah." She had the same tone as a kid whom the parents ordered a substitute of veggies for instead of fries. "You've been great at taking my calls." The way to resolve things came to Shelly, whether from habit or intuition or both. "I'm sorry, Mom," she said. "Don't worry about that," Deborah said, her shoulders easing down and her smile rising up. "Like I said, I'm just glad we're together." As her eyes darted between her two daughters, Deborah's lips stretched cheek to cheek. "I do have a surprise for you two." They waited. "I brought a friend for you both to meet. He's very nice. We used to work together, and I think you two will like him a lot." Tilting her head forward, Savannah made eye contact with her sister. Shelly looked away before their mom paid attention. The situation would not improve if they insulted her feelings with silent gestures. Calming their mom down could be a pain, and, in most cases in the past, impossible. If they slipped up, Deborah would smile for the waitress and her friend, but her children would feel all her grimaces she held within. Happy Rules deserved to remain a sanctuary, and Shelly determined to protect it as such. Shelly replied first. "Is he here, or—" Adjusting her blazer, Deborah said, "He had to find a parking spot. He should be here soon." A few minutes later, their mom's prophecy came true. Ted thanked the waitress for showing him to the booth, and their mom ordered more edamame, along with the rolls she wanted and assumed Ted would want as well. While sitting down and flattening out his striped button-up shirt, Ted introduced himself to the girls. Both did their best to show him generosity in their greeting. Shelly wanted him to feel welcome, but she imagined her sister was less than thrilled about his presence. She hadn't lived with Mom when she started dating again. Despite Shelly's assumptions, Savannah performed her role of friendly daughter as well as Shelly did at the beginning. When Ted asked, "What brings you to New York?" Savannah answered with her chin on her hand, smile on her face. "We wanted to visit our dear Mom." "What do you like about Utah?" "Down in the South, we love the warmth and the hiking. It's beautiful." With her sister handling the conversation, Shelly tuned out. This could work. Ted's presence might have pacified the situation. They would eat, go home, and after a good night's sleep, Shelly and Savannah could regroup in the morning. "Speaking of schooling," her mother's voice dragged her back into the conversation. "Did you know Shelly paints? She's going to grad school for it." Oh, you're an artist, Ted said, eyebrows raised and eyes a little too apprehensive. Great. Her sister hadn't ruined anything, but if Shelly kept giving the man the cold shoulder, she might. I am, sort of. I'm going to school for it, at least, Shelly said. That's great. What made you decide to pursue your master's in art? Something caught in her throat. Too bad she hadn't been eating. It appeared far more awkward than it would have otherwise. Just because. When the conversation dropped, Ted inspected an edamame. Of all the easy topics she could use to pick the conversation back up, Shelly could not stop thinking about Savannah, wondering if her sister may burst out unexpectedly. The grad school topic could have easily triggered her sister too, now that she knew Shelly was only at grad school because of their mom's pressure. Once the rolls were placed onto the table, the girls ensured their mouths were filled. Before putting anything on her plate, Deborah picked up the last spoken subject. Shelly, you should tell him about your paintings. A minute passed before Shelly could swallow even a portion of the food she was chewing. Then, with her hand over her mouth, she mumbled, I haven't painted much lately. The chopstick stopped and posed in Deborah's hand. That's right. Why is that, sweetie? Are you doing all right? Scratching her neck, Shelly responded, I'm fine. I don't want to get into it. It just hasn't happened lately. A giant gulp pushed the last of the sushi down her throat and she smiled. Well, tell him about your past paintings. Widening her own smile, Deborah made her eyes bigger, smile bigger, giving Shelly the you have the encouragement you need signal. Maybe we could talk about something else, Shelly said. Sorry, I just don't have much to say. Ted stopped poking at that sushi on his plate. That's all right. When Shelly brushed past the topic of painting, Deborah recognized that her daughters were acting curiously. Her disappointment in them increased until it became anger. Smiles became tighter, the lines in her neck became more distinct. She would do her best to save their supper with Ted. Did I ever tell you girls about this one case I had where a basement was flooded with green water? Ted laughed. He already knew all about it. As Shelly watched all the unmoving tables and chairs, and Savannah watched the sushi, Deborah told her story, and ended with a reveal that the flood was regular water tinted with food supply Jell-O packets. Nothing more criminal or strange than poorly kept food storage. The conversation never found a smooth rhythm. When it came time to pay, Deborah covered everyone's bill to arouse some happy feelings in her party's participants. Outside of the restaurant, Deborah said goodbye to Ted. She apologized numerous times, and he rejected the apologies every time, saying they were not needed. A few feet away, the girls walked out of hearing range back to the apartment. I'm sorry if I intruded, Ted began. You did not intrude, Deborah said. Like I said, I have no idea why they were acting like this. Kids. Deborah rolled her eyes. Well, I look forward to when we do this, just you and I. Ted's arms raised. Is a hug goodbye too much? Definitely not. The warmth from Ted's arms distracted Deborah. He smelled clean, as if he had stepped out of the shower. His fingers grazed her waist as he stepped away. With a wave goodbye, he crossed the street and headed to the parking garage. Deborah walked away from him, almost happy again, but her happiness fell when she saw her two disappointments waiting in the lobby of her apartment complex. As she made her way to them, she held her breath. She passed the doorman, Victor, and said hello. He waved with a knowing smile. Deborah thought that Victor could see her predicament with her inconsiderate daughters, but he did not assess the situation in this way. Rather, he felt concerned for all three, observing that an unpleasant event had occurred or would soon occur. It was a sight he had become too familiar with over his years at the complex, though it saddened him more to see it happen with Deborah, who had come in and out of the building alone many times. While the group walked to the elevator, Deborah bent down her head and said to Shelly, It astounds me that you acted like that. Savannah's head whipped toward her mother, but Deborah did not budge from her focus on Shelly. I was so excited for you two to meet him. You could have acted a little more courteous. I didn't think we were rude, Shelly said. We didn't know he was coming. It was unexpected. Ted deserved better than that. You could have asked him more questions or taken an interest in him. I don't get to meet a lot of nice guys, but I don't want to talk about it. I'm too mad. They waited for the elevator to arrive. Savannah dug her nails into her palms and stared at her shoe's reflection in its brass metal doors. The heel of her white boot pivoted back and forth on the floor. Shelly scratched behind her ear and stared into the wall. Deborah watched herself, keeping her daughters in her peripheral vision. They should have spoken to her by now, she thought, apologized or moved on to a happier conversation. If no one would speak, she supposed the responsibility would be hers. Nothing out of the ordinary. It came with the role of mom, though she wished her adult daughters would lighten her burden. Instead of ridiculing them, she decided to hold off on her annoyance, believing that she could keep the conversation light. Look at those flowers. She pointed to a floral arrangement placed on a small wooden table between the two elevators. I love the decor in this complex. One of the perks of living in the city and visiting it. 10 seconds passed. They look nice, Shelly said. I know some people think that New York is dirty, and I guess that it is in a few places, but it has so much beauty. If you guys visit more, you could see that. I could show you all the beautiful places it has. The elevator arrived and they all stepped inside. The doors closed. Unanswered, Deborah spoke again. Moves fast. Isn't that nice? Yeah, Shelly said. Quieter, she continued. It's nice that it moves fast. By the time the elevator arrived, they walked down the hall, and Deborah opened the door to her apartment. Exhaustion overcame her, and she could no longer find distractions. Why couldn't her daughters make things easy for once, she thought. Talk to her. Enjoy spending time together. Have fun. Why did they work so hard against her? The door shut, and Deborah walked to the kitchen island and turned. Well, tonight has been more than disappointing, to say the least. I don't get it, girls. What's going on? Savannah's lips curled in, so Deborah faced her other daughter. Shelly, come on. What was going on at the restaurant? I'm sorry, Mom. I don't exactly know what you're talking about. I know you thought we were being rude, and I guess we were a little uncomfortable. But we tried to be nice. You could have fooled me. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm going to get on my laptop and check on a few work items. When I get back, maybe we can figure out our plans and decide what we want to do tomorrow. We'll see. With that, Deborah walked away up the stairs and closed her bedroom door. Shelly stood motionless for a few moments as she tried to comprehend how she could have been expected to enjoy talking with her mother, how to understand her mom's sudden transition from berating Shelly to, in my 20s, my complex had an elevator that took minutes to get to my floor, and I was on the 3rd level. Isn't that funny? Her mother laughing. That couldn't have been genuine, right? After the dinner ended, no contributions from Savannah were made to her mother's pretend happy family night. A gratitude resonated within Shelly. If her sister had opened her mouth, she might have argued with their mom and destroyed the possibility of peace. In the hallway, they had walked past Tandor, Tandor, Tandor. Pop music had played behind the wand, not as loud as the first time Savannah and Shelly had heard it. Poor girl, Shelly had thought. How long is she left alone at home? Maybe it wasn't a teenager. Maybe it was an adult. Interrupting her thoughts, Savannah opened a cabinet door, closed it, and then opened the one next to it. She continued to do this until she reached one in the far corner. It contained chocolate drops, caramel chocolates, M&Ms, and other chocolate-covered, chocolate-based sweets. Savannah had not forgotten their mother's suppressed chocolate addiction. A bag of chocolate drops flew off the shelf and down into Savannah's expectant hands. Plop! One by one, she threw a few of the sweets into her mouth. She stopped walking when she reached her sister. I'm sorry, Shelly, she said, chewing and swallowing the last bits of chocolate left in her mouth. You didn't deserve that. Well, she's upset, so I guess I could have been friendlier. I didn't expect her to leave us for a date tonight, let alone bring a potential boyfriend to the sushi restaurant. I didn't even realize she was going to show up. That was weird. Savannah stuffed more chocolate into her mouth, garbling her next words. But it's not your fault you didn't get the message. No, I should have remembered that my notifications were silenced. Shelly slid onto a white stool. It chilled her bottom, and if she leaned too far, she thought she might fall off the end. It was stupid to do it in the first place. I could have prevented this whole debacle. Whatever, Shelly, it happens. It's fine to have times when other people can't intrude on your life. Either way, Mom bringing her date was weird. Savannah grunted and, predictably, rolled her eyes. Want to watch something? Teetering off the stool, Shelly followed Savannah and they retired to the couch. Not bothering to climb to the back, they sat on the edge and rested their elbows, and eventually their heads, on the middle. The two settled on a popular comedy show that had finished airing, so they could indulge in as many episodes as they wanted. Savannah ate a few more chocolates, but Shelly did not touch the bag. Neither said anything. Shelly both tried to forget that soon their mother may come out of her room, and no one knew what that meant. It could mean more reprimanding, an apology, an ignorance of the previous occurrence, and an attempt at happy planning. The possibilities gave her an itch she could not reach, overlaid with a fearful uncertainty of what would be demanded of her, how she would need to act for their mother to feel satisfied and for the itch to subside. None of the show's jokes distracted her from these thoughts for long. It could not stop the inevitable. During the 3rd episode, she heard a swish and the moving of feet on wood. Deborah had come out. In a few seconds, she stood in front of her daughters. What are you two watching? A comedy show, Savannah said. Deborah glared at the scene paused on the television. We should watch Friends. Remember how much you liked it, Savannah? That was so much fun. It's a good show, Savannah said. Why don't we put it on? I can show you how to do it. Deborah opened up her remote app. We're in the middle of this episode. Can we finish it? Savannah said. Sure. The app closed. Deborah's voice lost enthusiasm. Of course. Sitting down on the empty side of the couch, Deborah watched enough to see a character kick a volleyball into the forest, and then she spoke. You should pause it. We need to plan what we're doing tomorrow. The two complied, and Deborah unraveled her plans. Go to church early in the morning, walk around Central Park, visit monuments, go see the Statue of Liberty, and, if they had time, certainly, Deborah said, they would, walk around the city, and find somewhere new that they could eat out at on the following day, when they would go to various shopping centers, which meant doubtlessly they would need to go to Brookfield Place, and then continue to do more sightseeing. That's a lot, Shelly said. I think we can fit it all into the day, and if not, we'll have plenty of time to do the other stuff, right? I assume you two are staying at least a week, right? We still don't know when we're leaving, Savannah said. We haven't bought the tickets yet. Well, you two will need to stay until next Saturday, if not longer. It would be a waste not to. At least that's what I think. But it would be a waste. Neither of the girls said anything for a moment. Then, Mom, Savannah said, Shelly and I are kind of tired. I don't know if we'll have the energy to do all this. We flew in this morning. Also, we were hoping to spend time at home and talk. What did you want to talk to me about? The itch spread up her neck. Shelly's chest tightened, but she did her best to appear as if she were breathing at a normal rate, the way people do when they weren't overthinking, like Shelly was. Watching the wall, Savannah's face became too neutral. Not much, just about some stuff. What stuff? Regular stuff? Savannah crossed her legs tightly together. Turning away, Deborah's frown pointed at, Shelly, is there something I'm not getting told here? No, Mom, Shelly said. We just want to talk to you about regular stuff, and maybe a few concerns. Concerns? Deborah's voice had risen a few decibels. Why had she said that? Giving her mother more of a taste of what they meant would not subdue her curiosity. But those can wait, Savannah said. Eyes flicking between her mother and sister, Shelly hoped that neither she nor Savannah would have to say anything about their grievances. It would ruin everything. They hadn't done anything nice with their mom yet. They needed a better setup. If there are unresolved issues, I want to deal with them up front rather than having them lurking beneath the surface and having you two resent me for reasons I don't even know about. Red marks grew as Savannah's legs clenched tighter together. It's not like that. Nothing's lurking. Like I said, it's nothing we need to talk about right now. Just something we were hoping to have the time for tomorrow. You should have time. Deborah spoke like a judge making a verdict. And if it's not that urgent, I don't see why we can't do it while at the park or somewhere else. There's no reason we need to stay home. It's more private, and like I said, we're tired, Savannah, the accused, replied. With a forced lightness, Deborah raised her voice. Seriously, girls, I think you'd be surprised what a good night's rest can do for you. How about we see how you're feeling in the morning, okay? But you'll be feeling more up to going out. Savannah's lips curled in again, and Shelly rubbed her hands against the cushion. Okay, Shelly thought. Okay, but could we tentatively plan to do everything on Monday? Like Savannah said, we're pretty tired. Monday, when I have work? Sure, of course. I'll just call them and let them know I'll be out. Speaking with her teeth together, Deborah glared downward at her cupped hands. The glare wandered to Shelly's legs, to her stomach, to her face. Is there a reason why you're so concerned? Shelly, I thought you would be the most excited. Is it all the walking? I've been a bit concerned about your health, and I think that it might be good for you to get out, do something active. After a hard exhale, Shelly responded, What? No. I mean, I walk to school, but yeah, I don't like exercising. I know, Gumdrop, and that concerns me. I'm a bit worried. I've noticed you've gained some weight, and I didn't want to say anything, but I want you to be healthy and take care of yourself. It sure enough shocked Shelly, but it did. With ease, her mom had come in and hollowed her out. Took away anything that made her a functioning human. Mom, Savannah interjected, don't say that. What? I'm not saying anything. I'm trying to express my concerns to your sister. All right, but you shouldn't say that. It's rude. Stay out of it, Savannah. Deborah jabbed her finger toward herself. I'm trying to have a conversation with your sister. I understand that, but I'm not going to sit by and watch you treat her like that. I'm not going to let you hurt and manipulate Shelly to do what you want. Manipulate? Deborah stood up. What are you talking about? I'm not manipulating anyone. You need to stop putting yourself into places you don't belong. You don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about? Sweat prickled on Savannah's forehead. I've been sitting here the whole time, and I can see Shelly too, and she looks fine, by the way. You haven't seen your sister as much as I have, so don't pretend you can make those judgment calls. How could you know how she's changed? You haven't been there like I have. You're making a big deal out of nothing, Savannah. Ugh, sorry. Deborah rolled her eyes. I'm trying to talk to your sister, and I would appreciate it if you didn't make everything so dramatic. I don't think she's being dramatic, Shelly spoke in a well-tempered voice. Anger or hurt had fled. She's trying to look out for me. Shelly, I don't think you realize, but your sister is dramatic and always has been. She always blows things out of proportion because she's mentally ill. It's been diagnosed multiple times. She doesn't remember things correctly. I remember things better than you think. You, stay out of this. Stay out of what? You're talking about me. Yes, but I was trying to talk to your sister and you interrupted and I had to explain. Mom, I know about all that other stuff, Shelly said. You've told me before. You know that. I don't think she's being dramatic. Deborah rolled her eyes again. Fine. I just wanted to plan a fun day with my daughters and I really didn't need you two ganging up on me like this. Again, Shelly's mother shocked her. Where did it come from? Shelly couldn't piece it together. She couldn't trace back the logic. Hadn't the conversation included all of them? Hadn't they been the ones asking to talk about it at another time? Mom, we're not ganging up on you, Savannah said. Really? Because last I checked, I was having a normal conversation with your sister when you butted in and started yelling at me, when I didn't even do anything. Why are you against me, Savannah? Why? She didn't yell, Shelly said. Stay out of it, Shelly. I'm talking to your sister. Standing up, Savannah walked to the side of the couch, closer to where her mother stood. Don't treat her like that. She hasn't done anything, and I'm tired of your manipulation and everything you're doing. It's hurting us. The isolation and accusations is one big manipulation tactic. I've read about it, and my therapist agrees. Deborah made large steps forward, and from Savannah's face, she stood at a distance of inches. Her heart raced and her body temperature rose. Her daughters had no mercy, Deborah thought, no relenting. Jutting her jaw out, she said, You need to stop. You've always made situations bigger than they are and hated me, and fine, hate me. It's clear you wanted to drive a wedge between me and your sister, and congratulations, you succeeded. I'm done with you and your sister. I don't even want you two around anymore. You could leave for all I care. As Deborah moved to and pointed at Shelly, Savannah lifted her chest up. Leave her alone. Don't touch her. Deborah skewed her face. Touch her? I'm not going to touch her. How could you even think that? I know that you hit her in high school. Shelly told me today. The air froze. It felt more like winter than fall. Deborah didn't move. Particles in the air didn't move. Even other people in the city didn't move. You really don't know what you're talking about. I apologize for that. Years ago. Moving her head, Deborah's eyes peered past Savannah's shoulder to Shelly. Something about how hard they stared gave off the impression of a woman unhinged. Or maybe her appearance had been distorted by the glossy overlay of fear. Shelly, why can't you let it go? Deborah said. I know I shouldn't have slapped you, but I've never dealt with a mouth like yours. You know, I told my friends about some of what you said, and they couldn't believe it. And it was a slap. I made a mistake. I can't be a perfect mom. I'm human too. At least I didn't beat you like my parents did to me. I went to school with my whole back black and blue. My mom always told me how worthless I was, but I always told you how great you are, how special you are. I told you how you could do great things like go to grad school or start your own business. But I don't want to do those things, Shelly said, losing control of her voice. And you hit me more than once, and you said stuff. You were so mad that you said you decided not to hold back anymore, remember? That's right. Deborah's face flattened. I couldn't handle the way you spoke to me anymore, but whatever. I felt bad, I apologized, and that should all be in the past now. You need to let it go. Tangling her hand in her auburn hair, Shelly failed to collect her shock. I did. Really? Then why are you talking to your sister about it, Shelly? Deborah moved to step around Savannah. Leave her alone, Mom, Savannah yelled. You're manipulative and an abuser. You're an abuser. Deborah flipped around. Don't you say that to me. You don't know. I've kept a lot of my hurt from you girls. A lot of my pain from you girls. No, you don't. That's why Shelly and I are so tired. You take all of your pain out on us. You know what? I need you to move. I'm done here. With militant adherence, Savannah stepped aside. Deborah walked past. Congratulations, girls. You win. I don't want to go out tomorrow anymore. I don't want anything to do with you two. Up the stairs she stomped, slamming her bedroom door shut. Savannah sat down onto the couch next to Shelly. Sorry, she got so close. I thought she might hit one of us. It's okay. I thought that too. The two sisters sat in silence, listening for signs of their mom, breathing, moving, pressing an ear against a door. They heard her voice. The distinct sounds of complaint were likely to one person, Arya. The awkwardness Shelly would feel if she ever saw Arya again would likely result in enough anxiety to give her a heart attack. Her mom's friend must think the worst of her now. Gosh, she really hoped she didn't see her again. With their mom distracted, Savannah and Shelly knew they could talk without risk. Even so, they whispered. I'm sorry, Savannah. I don't get it. I'm sorry. She shouldn't have treated you like that. I'm used to it. Why do you think I stopped talking to her and started going to therapy? That still surprises me. How long have you been doing that, anyway? A few months. Dramatic or not, there's a lot of stuff with Mom that I need to unpack. So much for one last attempt at reconciliation. Savannah let out an empty laugh. I don't know what to do, Shelly said. I don't want to leave her alone out here, but I don't know if I can take this anymore. I keep trying to make this work, but I don't know if I can. As Savannah hugged Shelly, Shelly wrapped her arm around her sister and listened with a newfound numbness. We shouldn't have to. It shouldn't be this hard. How do I live with this? What do I do if I can't make it work? She won't listen. A subtle tingle danced inside her chest. In an instant, the numbness disappeared. I don't think she's going to change. Not enough to stop everything from hurting. Savannah gave another dying laugh. No, probably not. I'm sorry, Shelly. I'm so sorry. The two cried on the couch through the minutes that disappeared, but did not get counted and did not get mourned. Shelly thought about all the different ways her mom's face morphed during the argument, the step-by-step transformation of her mom's humane features becoming rock-like. Then there were her mom's haunting words, I don't want you two around anymore. Of all the physical and emotional punches, her mom had not verbally disowned her before. Not like that. The sisters heard a door open and stopped any slight movements that came with living. Deborah's voice called down to them like the threatening of a Greek goddess. I'm going to bed. I'm extremely disappointed in you two. I never see you two and have to tell everyone how much I miss my daughters, but they won't visit me. Then you come into town and spend your time here putting me down? When I felt so sad, so alone. I needed you two, and you had to kick me while I was low. Mom, even in your worst of times, you can't treat people, however. No, Savannah, I'm not done speaking. I think I've had enough shitty stuff happen that I think I earned the right to be a little bit snappy. And yeah, that's right, I curse, 'cause it's been shit. I've been through hell. I'm going to bed. We can talk about our plans more tomorrow, although I hardly want to do anything with you two anymore. The door closed. The two did not have the vigor to speak. Not risking the television rousing their mother, they switched to Savannah's phone and watched various lighthearted shows on there, avoiding Friends. After an episode or two, a hollow Shelly led the way to their bedroom, plugging her phone into the charger upon entry. It had died during their fight, but she didn't feel comfortable going upstairs for the charger until she knew her sister was ready to sleep too. In the corner, Savannah settled onto the air mattress, insisting that Shelly had the bed. Before the exhaustion of the night dragged Shelly's consciousness away, she spoke into the darkness, trusting her sister would hear and answer. I think I want to fly back home. A rustle sounded from the corner. Me too. Good. Her sister deserved better, even if she acted like a snob sometimes. Shelly started to suspect that was more a shield than her sister's personality type. When do you want to leave? Savannah said. As soon as possible. A faint light turned on in the corner. 10 minutes later, Savannah said, I can get us a flight for tomorrow afternoon. Okay, do it. End of chapter. Thanks for tuning in. Lots of love to y'all. And we're getting close to the book. We only have 3 more chapters, 17, 18, and 19. So stay tuned. And like the video if you liked the video. Subscribe because I'm gonna start getting back to reading my blog posts and they're way more interactive and I can't wait to get our community back in the comments because I've missed y'all. So here's to more good times and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!